திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். புழியர்கோன் வெப்பொழித்த புகழியர்கோன் கடல் போற்றி. ஆழிமிசை கல் மிதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரான் அடி போற்றி. வாழி திரு நாவலூர் வன் தொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி. ஊழிமலி திருவாத ஊரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். So today we are continuing padhigam 7.39, which is sundarar thevaram, commonly referred to as tiruttoṇḍattogai. So last time we had met, we had seen we had gone through the first verse, and then we listened to the Oduvar singing the whole padhigam. And as we discussed last time, today we can cover some of the stories that are referred, the life histories of the nayanmars who are referred in the song that we saw last time. So before we go into that, let me repeat the whole verse, and then maybe I will have one of you repeat the first verse, just to make sure that you are able to say the verse. So maybe Madhuri, you can be ready to repeat it at the end. I'm going to say the whole verse now.
Okay.
Verse, yeah. thillai-vāḻ andhaṇar அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanarku அடியேன், இல்லையே எண்ணாத இயற்பகைக்கும் அடியேன், இளையான்தன் குடிமாறன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், வெல்லுமா மிகவல்ல மெய்ப்பொருளுக்கு அடியேன், விரிபொழில் சூழ் குன்றையார் விரன்மிண்டற்கு அடியேன், அல்லிமன் முல்லையந்தார் அமர்நீதிக்கு அடியேன், ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மானுக்கு ஆளே. That is the first verse. So okay. You can say the whole verse and see how comfortable you are with that.
Okay. thillai-vāḻ andhaNar தம் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanar அடியேன், இல்லையே எண்ணாத iyaRpagai அடியேன், இளையான் தன் குடிமாறன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், வெல்லுமா மிகவல்ல மெய்ப்பொருளுக்கு அடியேன், விரிபொழில் சூழ் குன்றையார் விரன்மிண்டற்கு அடியேன்.
Let me help you there.
Sure.
Viranmindarku. So if you Viranmindarku together, Viranmindarku.
Okay. விரன்மிண்டற்கு அடியேன், அல்லிமென் முல்லை அந்தார் அமர்நீதிக்கு அடியேன், ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மானுக்கு ஆளே.
Very good. The reason why I wanted to say this verse and repeat this verse is right. This padhigam is a very important padhigam, and it has the names of the 63 nayanmar devotees.
Okay.
So by reciting this padhigam, we are reminded of all the great devotees who were there before us, and so that is a very important thing, right? So just as the name of the Lord, right? How it is a great thing that by reciting the name of the Lord we can get mukti, right? Like that, the devotees' names are as important. That is the reason why I was mentioning that and repeating it.
Okay.
So we will go through the stories of the devotees who are in this first verse, and then if you have time, we will go to the second verse today.
Okay.
So thillai-vāḻ andhaṇar அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன். Adiyen, we know that so what he is saying is that I am the servant of the devotees of the Brahmins of Chidambaram. That is the meaning of that line. And so this, as I mentioned in the last session, this line was given by Shiva. Right? When Sundarar went and asked him, how do I sing the glory of devotees? Shiva gives him this phrase, thillai-vāḻ andhaṇar அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன், and says, start with this and you will be able to sing. So the Brahmins of Chidambaram, the priests of Chidambaram, they are a very special category of devotees. So in this tiruttoṇḍattogai, we have, as I was mentioning last time, we have 63 individually named people and 9 categories of people. So that is what is contained in this padhigam. So the 63 individual names that we have in this padhigam are referred to by us now as the 63 nayanmars. And the 9 categories of people, they are also devotees, but because they are not individually named, we don't have life history of each of them. So we only have the attributes or the qualities of those 9 categories of people. So the tillai-vāḻ andaṇar is one of those 9 categories of people who are mentioned in this padhigam. So I don't know whether any of you have been to Chidambaram. If not, you should, in your future visit to India, you should plan to go visit Chidambaram. It's about roughly about 200 kilometers south of Chennai, and you can go easily by car or by train. And it's a very big temple. And the tradition is that long time ago, many thousand years ago, there were 3,000 priests who were serving in this temple. And even the legend is that when a king, at the request of or at the advice of or at the request of Patanjali Rishi, I don't know whether it's Patanjali or vAzh. I should give you the information. So he brought
in Chidambaram.
Yeah, correct. And so he gets about 3,000 priests from the area between Ganga and Yamuna in the north, and he brings them to Chidambaram. And then when he comes to Chidambaram, and then he tries to count how many Brahmin priests have come now, reached Chidambaram, he finds that they are one short. So he finds only 2,999. And then, of course, Shiva tells him that, hey, he is one of them. So that is the legend. But the point is that the 3,000 Brahmin priests of Chidambaram, they are the custodians of the temple, and they do the worship in such a great devout manner. It's unbelievable. You have to go and see them. They dedicate their lives to Nataraja. Nataraja is the main deity, so they dedicate their lives to Nataraja, and they are great scholars. Again, and they have great Vedic scholars, and they are also exponents of Tamil. Again, this is how traditionally they have been. So in Sambandar's padhigam, we have seen 1.80, Katranga Eriyombi. Those of you who joined the sessions subsequent to that point, you can go back and listen to the recordings. In that Katranga Eriyombi padhigam, Sambandar praises glory, mentions the glories of the priests of Chidambaram. Katranga Eriyombi Kaliyai Varame Setrar Vāḻ thillai Chitrambalameya Mutra Vendingal Mudalvan Padame Patra Nindrare Patra Pavame was the first one. And the second one was Parapai Padutangum Pasuveti Eriyombi Sirappar Vāḻ thillai Chitrambalameya Pirapil Perumane Pintar Sarayane Marappilar-kandir Mayil Tiruvare. In these two verses, his first opening statement is the Chidambaram, where these great Brahmins live. So that's how Sambandar is singing praise of Nataraja, while mentioning that Nataraja, you are being worshipped by the great Brahmins of Chidambaram. So you can imagine if Sambandar is praising some people, how great they must be, right? And the interesting thing is that they live around the temple, they do the Veda Parayanam. They are great Vedic scholars, and they dedicate their lives in Nataraja worship. So for them, Nataraja is everything. And another unique thing about them is that they have a democracy in their group. So all of them have equal right in the decision-making process. And they have, by vote, they make decisions. And they also have the requirement that for them to be able to do puja for Nataraja, they have to be married. So all married members of their group are equal custodians of the temple. And because of that, they will marry, and they don't marry outside their group. So they will marry only within their group. And people will get married at a very young age, because only then the boy gets the right to do the worship. So it's you have to go and see them, how they how dedicated they are to this, and they are the ones who have preserved the traditions of this temple for thousands of years. So in as I said, Sambandar and Thiru-nIlakaNtar, they have sung the glories of, they have mentioned the greatness of the Chidambaram priests in their thevaram songs. And later on, when Sekhirar composed Periya Puranam, right, the tiruttoṇḍattogai that we are seeing here is the table of contents, which Sekhirar in the 12th century took it up and wrote his masterpiece, Periya Puranam, in which he details all the life stories of all these devotees. And he did his arangetram of his Periya Puranam in Chidambaram, in front of these Chidambaram priests. So you can imagine how important the temple is, and how important, how much scholarship they had in both Sanskritam and in Tamil. So, and later in the context of Sambandar, Sambandar when he was coming once, with Shiva's grace, he saw all the Chidambaram priests as having the form of Nilakanta. Like he saw them as Shiva's forms. And that is mentioned in a different thevaram song. We haven't seen that so far. Adinai naru naiyodu palthayir. In that song he mentions that, in that padhigam. But the point is that they are so special, and that's why Sundarar, when he starts singing, he sings with this line that Shiva gives him, and that's why Shiva gave him this line as the greatest class of devotees one can think of. That's how he starts. Before I go to the next devotee, are there any thoughts or comments you have, or questions on the first line that we saw?
I don't know whether it's so you said only married men can worship, right?
They can do the puja, yeah.
Yeah, they can do the puja, but so what about people who had all Upanayanam and all, they are not eligible?
No. People who have had just Upanayanam, they are not eligible to do puja.
Oh, okay.
So, in other temples it is not that way, right? In all our other temples,
yeah,
so long as one has had Upanayanam and he has gone to the Veda Patasala, he has done some Adhyanam and all that, right? Then he will be able to do worship in the temples.
Okay.
But in Chidambaram, for the priest to be able to go do worship in Chidambaram temple, they have to have been married. That is the requirement. That's why I said it is very unique. And similarly, in temple worship practices, most temples in South India follow what we call as agamic worship. They worship as prescribed in the agamas. There are Shaiva agamas, there are Vaishnava agamas. So the Shaiva temples do the worship as per the Shaiva agamas, and Vaishnava temples do worship as per the Vaishnava agamas. That's how the worship is done. But in Chidambaram temple, they follow the Vaidika worship approach. So this is slightly different. And they have preserved the temple through all kinds of difficulties that we have gone through in the last 1,000 years, right? Whether it is the Muslim attackers who came from the north to the south, or the other kingdoms, whether it is Tipu Sultan or whether it is the British people, right, or whatever, French, who came and attacked these regions and all that. So with all that, these priests have managed to preserve the temple and the traditions and all that. And they have two major festivals which are held over 10 days. One is in the December-January period, in the Margari Masam, this is Arudra Darshanam. And other comes in June-July time frame, what is known as Ani Thirumanjanam. So those are two 10-day festivals that they have, and on the final day, they have this Abhishekam of Nataraja, where they bring out the Nataraja from the main Sannidhi to the 1,000-pillared hall. There is a 1,000-pillared hall in Chidambaram temple. They bring Nataraja into the 1,000-pillared hall temple, 1,000-pillared hall, and then they do like a 2-3 hour Abhishekam and then puja, and then major things happen. And that's twice a year, right? Ani Thirumanjanam in June, July, and Arudra Darshanam in December, January. So that time there will be like 25,000 people sitting in the temple watching this Abhishekam. So it's a major thing, and there will be like a local holiday for that area. Anyway, there's a little bit of bonus information about Chidambaram temple. Any other comments before we go to the next one?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Good info.
Yeah. The second line, or actually technically it is the second half of the first line. Thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanarku adiyen. Kuyavanar in Tamil means potter. And Thiru-nIlakandam is Shiva's Nilakantam. So I am the servant of the Thiru-nIlakandam potter. That's the meaning of that line. So Sundarar only says this much, right? He simply says, I am the servant of the potter who was named Thiru-nIlakaNtar. That's all he says. The rest of the story, Shekhar researches and gathers the information and presents it in a more detailed story. And in Tamil, this story even has come out as a movie. So if you go to YouTube and look for Thiru-nIlakaNtar, you can see the Tamil movie on YouTube. And of course, any movies that are made on saints, you know that there will be a lot of historical facts in it, but there will also be a lot of spice added to make it interesting as a movie. Okay, back to the story. So Thiru-nIlakaNtar, he was a potter who lived in the town of Chidambaram. And even in his young youth, right, he was highly devout. He had a lot of devotion for Shiva. And, we say, like many of the devotees' names that you are going to see in this padhigam, we don't know what their original names were, right, what their parents named them as. But over a period of time, people acquire special names because everybody calls them by their special name, and that becomes their name in long term. So, as we see that, we don't know what his parents would have named him, but because of his devotion, he used to say Thiru-nIlakaNtar. Right? We say Om Namah Shivaya, right? Shivaya Namah Shivaya. People do say these things, right? Ram Ram, like that. So he used to say Nilakandam, and so he is referred as thiru-nIlakaNtar. Anyway, that is in the story. So when he was young, obviously, he probably was 25 or 27 or whatever is the age range, right? You can imagine that. But he was very devout even then. And he, as a service to Shiva, he would give, the begging bowl, those kind of things to the Shiva devotees. As you know that, the sannyasis and other devotees, right? They go from place to place to place in Kshetradanam or otherwise. And for them, when they come, they just have to have a bowl, right? People will feed them, put food in their bowl. So for them, he would give them free begging bowls. That was his service to Shiva. Because he was a potter, he will give what he makes as a gift to the devotees. And when he was in a youth, right, maybe as I said, when he was like 25 or 27, I'm just guessing, right? We don't know the exact age when this happened, but when he was like 25 or 27 or 30, whatever is the age range, he was married. He had a very beautiful wife. And one day, because of his youthful indiscretions, he went and he met with some other call girl or whatever you want to call it in today's world. He met with some other woman. He was with some other woman and comes home. His wife comes to know about this. And she is so upset. As you can imagine, right? Any wife will be upset if the husband goes to some other woman. And she is angry. They are fighting. And then he's trying to pacify her and saying sorry, blah, 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 all that. And then, in order to calm her down, he wants to, he tries to put his hand around her and, comfort her or to say some words of apology or whatever. And then, at that time, his wife becomes extremely angry. And she says, from now on, don't touch us. In the name of thiru-nIlakaNtar. She swears. Meaning, I order you not to touch us in the name of your Lord. And when he heard that command, he was shocked, and at the same time, he made a resolve in his mind that I will not touch. And it so happened, it is Shiva's Leela, you have to say, his wife should have said, in the name of the Lord, thiru-nIlakaNtar, don't touch me. But somehow, through slip of tongue, she said, don't touch us. And thiru-nIlakaNtar took that to heart and resolved not to touch any woman, not just his wife, but any woman. And from that day onwards, they lived as husband and wife in the house, but they did not touch one another. That kind of a life they had. So this way of living that they had, nobody knew. Not even the neighbors, not even their relatives. Nobody knew that they had a fight, and they don't have any relationship among them. But to the external world, and even inside the house, she will do all the things that a wife should do. Keep the house clean, cook the food, take care of him, take care of his needs, all the things she will do. And similarly, he will do all the things that a husband should do to take care of the family, but he will not touch her. That kind of a life they had. And this was going on for a long time, right? Now they have reached old age. So we can assume that he was 65 or 70 and she was 60 or 65, whatever is the age. They have reached that level of age, and you can imagine for 40 years, this is how they have been living. And Shiva wanted to show to the world the greatness of these devotees. So one day, he comes as a Shiva devotee. Shiva takes the form of a devotee and comes to thiru-nIlakaNtar's house. Comes outside, and thiru-nIlakaNtar sees a Shiva devotee coming to his house. He goes out, welcomes him, and says, what can he do for him? And so that devotee says, I'm going from place to place to place, but I have this begging bowl. But this is a very valuable bowl, and I want you to keep it safe for me. After some time, I will come back and ask for it, and you can give it to me. So just keep it safe for me. That's all I want from you. So thiru-nIlakaNtar is, happy to help him in any way. He says, Swami, please don't worry. I will keep it very safe. I will make sure that I protect it with all my effort, and I will keep it safe and return it to you when you want it. So he takes the bowl, takes it inside, puts it in a secure place, and tells his wife, these devotees, keep it there, don't do anything with it, and all that. And the devotee goes away. Then, after maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, whatever is the period, right? Some period has gone by. Then Shiva again comes as that in the form of the devotee, and comes to his house, and thiru-nIlakaNtar again invites him. He's happy to see him back, and that devotee says, okay, now I want my bowl back. Give me that bowl back. So thiru-nIlakaNtar goes inside the house and goes to the room or goes to the place where he had kept it safely and looks for it, but due to Shiva's play, that bowl has vanished. It is not there. So he is shocked. He doesn't find it. Then he asks his wife. She doesn't know it. What happened to it? Then the devotee outside, right? Shiva in the form of devotee outside starts calling out in a loud voice, "Hey thiru-nIlakaNtar, what's going on? Why is it taking so long to return my bowl?" Then thiru-nIlakaNtar comes out and says, so I don't know what happened. It's like somehow that bowl has vanished. I don't know. But I am a potter and I have wonderful bowls. I can give you much nicer bowls. If you want, I can even give you 3 bowls or 5 bowls. I can give you any number of bowls. I have, And then the devotee starts shouting. Now I know what you do, right? You claim to be helping Shiva devotees, but you are stealing from them. That's what you are doing. And he starts, scolding him. thiru-nIlakaNtar doesn't know what to do, and he apologizes and begs him, tell me why I don't have it. I didn't steal it. It's gone. I don't know what happened. This is the truth. And tell me how I can. What should I do to prove that I am telling you the truth? Then he says, the devotee says, okay, you and your son come with me to the temple pond, hold your hands, take a dip in the temple pond and say this thing, and I will accept that as the truth. Then thiru-nIlakaNtar says, I don't have a son, what to do? I can come to the temple pond, take a dip and promise. Then the devotee says, no. You have a wife. You and your wife come. Hold your hands, take the dip, and then tell that this is the truth. Then thiru-nIlakaNtar says, you have to forgive me, but due to a long-standing reason, I cannot do what you say. And then the devotee, Shiva, who is in the form of a devotee, makes a big racket. You are not returning the bowl. You are not willing to do the promise as I ask you to promise. So you are a cheat. Now I will go to the Chidambaram Brahmins and ask them for justice. So in those days, there were, the village elders will be the ones who will mediate the disputes, right? They will hear both sides of the dispute and then decide what is the decision, right? What is the judge? They will give the judgment. That's how the system worked in India at that time. So in Chidambaram, the Chidambaram priests, the Brahmins of Chidambaram temple, they are the most respected and learned and scholarly people, and so they will be acting as the judges for these kind of disputes. So this devotee goes, thiru-nIlakaNtar, who is, imagine he is 70 years old now. So he also goes. They both go to in front of the Chidambaram priest. When I say Chidambaram priest, not all 3,000 of them will be there, right? There will be whatever, 10 of them, 5 of them, or 15 of them, whatever is the jury that they have. So he went to them, they go to them, and then the Shiva in the form of the devotee states his case, that fact that he gave thiru-nIlakaNtar a bowl, that he will keep it safe, and then when he comes back after some time, he has stolen it and he is not giving it back. And of course, thiru-nIlakaNtar says, this is not the truth, this is what happened, it vanished, I don't know what to do. And then the devotee says, hey, but he is not willing to make a promise like what I told him. He says he doesn't have a son, so I told him to hold his wife's hand and take a dip in the temple pond and then make that promise, swear that his wife is telling the truth, and he's not willing to do that. So I don't know what he's trying to cheat me out. So the priests, hear this both sides of the argument, and then after deliberation, they say, they tell thiru-nIlakaNtar, they agree with what the complainant is saying, that it is his duty to make the promise as required by the complainant, and that will be the only way he can solve the problem. So thiru-nIlakaNtar says, okay, I will do it whatever I can do. And then he goes home, calls his wife, and comes back to the place where the people have assembled, right? It's outside in Chidambaram, there are several temples. Chidambaram, the main temple is the Nataraja temple, but there are other smaller temples around the town, and there are other tanks also. So this is one of the other temples around in the town. So they comes back to the place where the Brahmins are and where the complainant, the Shiva is, and and he comes with his wife and says, okay, I will do this promise. Then he and his wife take a few steps into the temple tank, and he and his wife are holding a bamboo stick and then trying to take a dip. Then the Shiva in the form of a devotee makes a big noise again. She is holding a stick, he is not holding her hand, so he is trying to cheat me again. And then at that point, thiru-nIlakaNtar has no choice. So in front of the whole town, which is assembled around this, right? As you can imagine, right, when these kind of things happen in India, there will be 100 people standing around you watching things. So the whole town is around them watching what's going on. And then thiru-nIlakaNtar tells what happened 40 years ago, and what happened, and how he made a promise, and how he cannot touch his wife. So the most private, personal thing he tells in the public. And then, he and his wife take a dip in the pond. And when they come out after the dip, they both have youthful forms. They were 70 and 65. Now they are like 25 and 20. They have this youthful form. And then Shiva reveals himself to them, and he takes them to Shivalokam. That is the story of thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanar. And this temple, where this happened, right? In Chidambaram, Nataraja temple is a big temple, but as I said, there are several other temples in the town, within a kilometer or so from that. So this temple is popularly known as Ilamai Akinar Kovil. Ilamai means youth, Akinar means he made. Kovil, temple. So this is the temple of the Lord who restored their youth. That's the name of the temple today. So that temple is the temple where this happened. So this is the story of thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanar. So we don't know his wife's name, and obviously he held the promise and she also kept the promise. They both are, equally devout. They both did the same thing in a sense, but for whatever reason we only know the name of the husband, thiru-nIlakaNtar. But of course he was the one who triggered all this. Anyway, with the any comments, questions, thoughts, we can discuss on this story.
No.
If you are on mute, unmute and talk.
No, I think we are good.
No, it's a nice story. Good.
Yeah. So the next one, இல்லையே எண்ணாத இயற்பகைக்கும் அடியேன், means I am the servant of iyaRpagai who never said no. Illai means no. இல்லையே எண்ணாத means one who never said no. iyaRpagai, that iyaRpagai, to him I am a servant. So iyaRpagai, again we don't know what his real name is, but because of his behavior and his actions, they were all very unique, so not common. So that's why his iyaRpagai means natural, pagai means against. So he went against the natural instincts. That is why he is called iyaRpagai. So iyaRpagai, nAyanAr, was a merchant. In those days people lived in their traditional professions, and they were living traditional lives for many thousands of years. So he was part of the merchant class, Vaishya. So, and as we know, historically in India, the merchants were the moneyed people, right? They had a lot of money. And any rich person that we know about in Indian history, in the mythology or stories, you will find that they will always be merchants. So he was a merchant in the town called the Pumbugar. Pumbugar is the town which is at the mouth of Kaveri river merging in the sea. Kaveri river starts in Karnataka, goes through all of east-west. It cuts across east-west Tamil Nadu and reaches Bay of Bengal on the east. So where the Kaveri river enters the sea, that place is called Pumbugar. And that, as you can imagine, those kind of places were major ports, because the people can use the river to carry stuff inside the inland, and also the ships will come. So Pumbugar was a major port, and because it was a major port, they were trading with other parts of India, other parts of East Asia. From there people could go to Java, Sumatra, all those kind of places, right? So Thailand, those kind of area, people are doing merchantship. They were doing commerce. Anyway, so it was a very well-known and famous town, and he was iyaRpagai, nAyanAr was a merchant in the town, and he was a great Shiva devotee. That's something you will see. Every person who is mentioned in tiruttoṇḍattogai, they are all great Shiva devotees. That's why they are listed here. And many of them would have done things that we don't think is possible, or things that we don't think that is not normal, or we think that how can he do this? That kind of action. Because when somebody has extreme devotion, that gives them extreme strength, and their plane of thinking is at a different level. So what you and I cannot understand, the devotees will do. So iyaRpagai, he was a merchant, and any Shiva devotee who comes to him, asks for any help, he will give them that help. So if somebody says, hey, comes to him and says, hey, I need whatever X amount of money to do this good thing, and like people come to today, right? People, if somebody is rich, people do come to him asking for charity, right? I want donation for this thing. I want to your help for doing that kind of thing. But in those days, people will also come to him for anything. So the Shiva devotees will come to him because he is a great devotee himself, and whatever help any Shiva devotee needs, he will do that. So in Mahabharatam we have heard of Karna, right? Karna had similar concept, right? Whoever comes to him and asks for something, he will give it. And here iyaRpagai nayanAr was one such person. Whoever came to him, a Shiva devotee, and wants anything, he will give him. So this was going on for many years, right? And after a number of years, Shiva decided that the greatness of this iyaRpagai should be made known to the world. Remember, in all these devotees case, people say Shiva came and that the god tested them, and then they came out with flying colors. God does not test anybody, because Shiva is inside everybody and he knows what we think. He does not have to test us, right? When is there a test? When I don't know whether something is this way or that way, I do a test and find out which way it is. But Shiva already knows. So Shiva does not have to do any test of anything. So in all these devotees cases that we are going to see, Shiva does not test them. Shiva comes, plays a leela to reveal their greatness to rest of us, so that it guides us in our life. So iyaRpagai was giving it. So Shiva comes one day in the form of a Shiva devotee, like a Brahmin, right? He comes in the form of a Brahmin devotee of Shiva, comes to iyaRpagai, his house. iyaRpagai welcomes him. He says, "Oh Swami, come in," and then washes his feet and offers him all the normal traditional upacharam that we do when a guest comes, and then says feeds him whatever, and then asks him what is there anything that I can give you? Anything that you need, I can help you with. Then that Brahmana says, yeah, I heard that you give anything that devotee asks, and even basically he's sort of hesitant. He's saying things, but he's very hesitant. Then iyaRpagai says, yes, anything that I have, I give. There's no doubt about it. Then what do you need? What can I give you? Then that Brahmana says, I know, but I don't know how to ask. I don't know whether he will give. Then the iyaRpagai says, don't worry. If I have it, it is yours. Then that Brahmana says, I want your wife. This is a major shocking statement in any time, right? Whether it is today or whether it is 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, this is a very shocking statement and shocking request. And in those days, this again we have to remember the times when this happened. Okay, this happened at least 1,500 years ago, maybe even longer, but at least 1,500 years ago. So he says, I want your wife. Will you give? He didn't say, will you give? He says, I want your wife. That's a statement. Then iyaRpagai feels so relieved. He was worried that this man is going to ask him something that he doesn't have. Fortunately, he has asked for something that he has and it is in his control. So he feels very relieved, and he looks at his wife. I don't know her name, but he tells her, from now on, you are his. And their wife is shocked. How can a husband say this? And then, but immediately she recovers, and she says, if her husband does something, because he is such a great person, there must be something good for that. So she falls at her husband's feet, and then gets up, then goes and stands next to the Brahmana, because now the husband has given her to him. So the Brahmana is happy, and then he was about to leave, and then iyaRpagai asks the Brahmana, "Sir, is there anything else I should do for you?" Then the Brahmana says, can you make sure that you come as our guard? You protect us as we leave the town. Then iyaRpagai says, "Oh man, I should have thought about it myself. If a stranger walks away with my wife, and all my family members, all my friends, all my kinsmen, clansmen, everybody will be so upset with what's going on. They are going to attack them. I should have already realized this, and I should have already offered my service to you." So then he dresses up with a fighting dress, warrior dress, takes his sword, and then says, "I will come with you. I will be your protection. Don't worry." So the Brahmana, iyaRpagai's wife, they are walking, and with them, iyaRpagai is holding a sword in his hand and walking with them in the street. And obviously, immediately everybody knows what's going on, right? Because these are all small towns. So all his family members, right? His brothers, his uncles, his in-laws, whatever, right? You name it, and all the people of his merchant class, they all come and say, "How can you do this kind of thing? It is a disgrace. You are a disgrace to our Vaishya clan. And if somebody comes and asks your wife, and you will give her, what kind of a fool are you? And even if you give it, are we stupid to let it happen? We will take care of it." And they want to prevent this happening. They want to prevent this from happening. So they are ready to fight. And then iyaRpagai says, "If you want, you fight with me. Only if you, I will make sure that what I have done is, you can't do this." So there's all the family and other friends, the clansmen attack iyaRpagai, and iyaRpagai is a strong man. He fights with them and cuts them off, kills them, whatever, and makes sure that the Brahmana and his wife leave the town safely. So he walks with them, takes them beyond their village or the town and to the next village, and that place is called Saikad in the olden Tamil. And he takes them up to Saikad, and then says, "Swami," he didn't say anything. So he's walking with them, and then the Brahmana says, "Oh, iyaRpagai, we are now safe. You can go back. Thank you." So iyaRpagai immediately, with folded hands, say thank you, and then he returns and goes back. And in Secular, Periya Puranam, he says that he says this as the thought of Shiva. How iyaRpagai went back. He said, as soon as the Brahmana said, now we can go back, iyaRpagai didn't even look at his wife. He just turned back and went back to his town. So that's how Secular describes, and Shiva says, what a great devotion he has. And then, after about, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, through this, iyaRpagai hears a big scream from a faraway distance. "Oh, iyaRpagai, help, help! Oh, iyaRpagai, help, help!" So iyaRpagai thinks that, maybe some other clansmen have gone there and attacking them. So he, with a sword, he comes back running again to fight with the other people to protect the Brahmana. And then as soon as he comes back, he finds only his wife standing there. He doesn't find the Brahmana. Then in the sky he sees on the Vrishabha Shiva and Parvati and everybody, and then he realizes that it was Shiva who came as a Brahmana. And of course that is the end of this story, and they all are taken to Shivalokam. So this is, and of course all the people who got cut and all that, right, they all are restored back to life. So this is the story of iyaRpagai nAyanAr. So let me stop here and see if you have any comments or thoughts or questions you have.
No.
So
No.
as you can imagine, yeah, go ahead.
No, I think we are good.
Yeah. So this is an extreme level of devotion, right? He was willing to give anything that was asked, and that was within his possession. So you may, in today's world, if you look at it with 21st century perspective, is how can he do this? What right did he have to do this? And why did she have to listen to that? But remember, this happened 1500 years ago or so, and the societal norms were different in those days, and that's why this could happen, and that's why it is something that was, even in those days, it is a great thing that somebody could do such a thing, right? He didn't fight with him, he didn't say no. That's the thing, right? When they say iyaRpagai, right, the iyaRpagai who never said no, that's the meaning of that line. So even in Karna, we don't have this kind of a situation. Nobody asked, people did ask for his Kavacha Kundalams, that is different. But this one is very unusual and very unique. So we have seen about, out of the 4 lines, we have seen 2.5 lines of this verse. Do you want to continue for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or do you want to continue on the next session?
I'm fine actually. I can continue for another 10 minutes.
Others are okay too?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I
So
can
the
also
next,
continue.
yeah, go ahead, Brahma.
No, I said I can also continue for 10 minutes, no problem.
Yeah. So the next one is iyayankudi Maran adiyarkum adiyen. The Maran is the name of the devotee here, and he lives in the town, in the village called iLaiyan-kudi. And Iyayan must be the name of a person, and so like in modern world, right? Like we say, Jamestown, like that, right? So we have towns named after people, like that. Iyayan was the name of a person, and iyayankudi is that village where that of that person or village of, in this area. So iyayankudi is the name of the village or the town, and Maran is the name of the devotee. So this iyayankudi Maran, he was from a farming family. They are farmers, and they had land, and a lot of land, and he was a wealthy farmer. And he was obviously in this devotees list, so he was a great Shiva devotee. And the service he did was, as a farmer, he had a lot of land, a lot of wealth because of that. All the devotees who come there, he will give them food, andhaNar, right? He was, all the Shiva devotees, he will give them food. Whoever comes, whenever they come, he will make sure that they are fed. And everybody knew about this, so devotees will come regularly to his place. Right? Every day, 100 people, 50 people, 40 people, 30 people. Every day, people will keep coming to his place, and he will feed them whenever they come. And this was going on for a number of years. And due to Shiva's grace, because Shiva has to show his greatness, the devotee's greatness to the world. So, over a period of time, iyaRpagai Maran's wealth started shrinking. Maybe some years they didn't have good crops. Maybe some famine occurred, whatever occurred, right? So over a period of time, his wealth was coming down, because even if because he was feeding all the devotees. When devotees come, he wants to feed them. So even if he didn't have money, he would have, maybe he would have sold off a piece of land, he would have sold off a house, whatever. He would have done whatever, but so that he can keep continuing his service to the Shiva devotees by feeding them. So after some years, he has reached extreme poverty level. But he was still feeding the devotees who were coming to him. But probably many devotees knew that he was very poor, so they didn't come to him. But still, whoever came, he was feeding them. But once it reached such a point that they had nothing to do, right? They had no money, so they were borrowing from neighbors and others and surviving. But then it has reached such a point that nobody was willing to give them any more loans. You know these things. You would have seen it in stories. Like initially people will give you a loan, but after you have taken loan from 5 people, 10 people, then they will say, when are you going to repay? They will not give you any more loan. So he has reached such a stage that nobody was willing to give him any more loans. And one day they had nothing to eat, so they both were hungry, husband and wife, and they were. It was late in the night. It was raining, so they went to sleep. At that time, somebody came and knocked on the door, and they open it and they find a Shiva devotee who is drenched in the rain standing there. And immediately iyaRpagai nAyanAr and his wife, they welcome him, and then he gives him a cloth and he dries himself, and then he knows that the devotee is very hungry. So he says, please wait, I will try to find something for you to eat. So the devotee is sitting there in a room. He and iyaRpagai nAyanAr and his wife, they go inside the kitchen and they start talking, what to do, how to feed this devotee. Because obviously they themselves had nothing to eat and they are hungry. I don't know what to do. Then his wife gives him the idea. Earlier today, he had planted the paddy. Now with this rain, all that paddy will be floating. So bring that wet paddy here. We will do something with it. For many of you will know, right? Because if you have been in farming families or if you have been in villages, you will know that the farmers will always keep a portion of the paddy separately for seeding the next season, right? After every harvest, they will safeguard seed paddy that they will not eat. And then, so that's what they have also done. iyaRpagai nAyanAr and his wife, right? They had kept the seed paddy, and that day, because it was a planting season, so he went and planted the. You know how they plant the rice, right? They just throw the rice, the paddy seeds on the ground. And that day, because of the heavy rain in their field, maybe 2 inches of rain has fallen or 3 inches of rain, so the water will be pooled there, and then the paddy, because it is paddy, it will be floating within their field. So his wife tells him, go to our field where we have planted this paddy, get that seed paddy back. So he takes a basket. In the darkness, he goes to his field, and then he, the floating paddy, he takes it with his basket, and if you take it to the basket like a sieve, you take it to the basket and all the water goes away and the paddy will remain. So that's way he collects all the seed paddy that he had planted earlier in the day, and then he brings it back home. Now his wife has the wet paddy. Now wet paddy you cannot make food, so now you have to dry it. right? You have to make it. It has to be dry, and then only you can pound it and get the rice, and then only you can cook. So they had nothing, right? So because it's all raining, so you can't get any firewood from outside because there's nothing, right? You can't go cut a tree or whatever, right? You need a dry firewood. So what he does is that he picks up a thing and he cuts off some of the bamboo poles, right, on the thatched roof that we have, right? If you remember the house, mud walls and a thatched roof with the bamboo poles holding the things in place. So he cuts off some of those poles and wood, and then says, use this as your firewood. So she uses it as a firewood and dries the wet paddy, and then pounds it so that they get some rice, and with that rice she makes rice. Now she says, I have rice, but we have to give him something to eat with the rice. What do we have? No vegetables, nothing. So immediately she gives him an idea. He goes to the backyard and picks up whatever leafy vegetables that they have, right? Like in India we have things like, in America we have spinach and lettuce and all those kind of whatever leafy things that we have here, right? Like that, they also have in the backside, they had a patch of land where they were planting some spinach or whatever. So he brings whatever that he could grab, and she makes 2-3 dishes with that. Now they have cooked rice, they have got some dishes to feed him. Now the nAyanAr, iLaiyan-kudi nAyanAr, goes to wake up that devotee who was sleeping. He goes and wakes him up, and then the devotee vanishes. And then Shiva and Parvati appear and bless iLaiyan-kudi nAyanAr and his wife, and that is the end of this story. So iLaiyan-kudi nAyanAr is somebody who tries to feed Shiva when he had nothing to eat himself. That is the kind of situation that was there. Anyway, so with this story, we can probably conclude today. But before we conclude, any thoughts or comments or questions on this story or any other story that you have seen today?
No.
Oh, very interesting. Different types of stories, which is good.
Yeah. And all these stories are in Periya Puranam. And I think I may have sent links to English translation of Periya Puranam to all of you. And when you, after this, maybe today or tomorrow, you take that Periya Puranam English version and just go through the 2 or 3 stories that we covered today. And you will be able to understand them better, and you will also have much more context on what you are reading.
Okay. I have one. I don't know. It's kind of a silly question, but I have a question. Like you said once, in all these stories, after the Shiva came and in a form of a devotee, and he vanished. And when did they recite all these padhigams? After, in front of him, or after he vanished? When did that happen?
Okay, this tiruttoṇḍattogai padhigam was not sung by those devotees.
Okay.
Sundarar sang this padhigam.
Oh, okay.
So all these devotees lived in the time before Sundarar's time.
He was just mentioning their
correct
name.
He was just mentioning that such and such devotee lived, and I am servant of him.
Okay.
I think this was the incident after that Veramandrar, I think he gets offended, right? Is that when?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
His name appears in the first song verse itself. In the second half of third line, right? Viripazhil sool kundrayar viran mindarku adiyen. That viran mindar was the one who scolded Sundarar for not doing acknowledging the devotees, not doing vanakkam or namaskaram, saying namaskaram to the devotees. So that Viranmindar is the one who scolded Sundarar, and it was because of that Sundarar came back and sang all this padhigam.
Oh, okay.
So this padhigam is sung by Sundarar, and he mentions all the devotees who were there before his time. Maybe some of them were contemporaries. Right? Like Viranmindar, he was sitting there in Thiruvarur temple. So he and Viranmindar are same time. But Sambandar or Thiru-nIlakaNtar or iLaiyan-kudi nAyanAr or thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanar, they are all 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 500 years before his time. So he was listing all the devotees' names that came to, with Shiva's grace, whatever he could remember at that point in time, he sang in that padhigam and says, I am a servant of all those devotees, all their devotees and their devotees, and their, like that. So basically he's saying, I am a devotee of every devotee. I am a servant of every devotee. So this padhigam is sung by Sundarar, and iLaiyan-kudi nAyanAr, he did not sing any padhigam. Okay. Thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanar, he did not sing any padhigam. They only did service. They were devotees who did worship and service in their own unique ways. So we saw 3 stories today, right? Or one category, Chidambaram priests, they are separate category. But individual devotees, we saw 3. Thiru-nIlakaNtar kuyavanar, iyaRpagai nayanAr, iLaiyan-kudi nayanAr. These 3 devotees, each were different, right? One was a potter, 2 others were, one was a potter, one was a merchant, one was a farmer. And they all were doing service to Shiva in their own unique ways. Right? The potter was his profession was making pottery. Right? So whatever he could do, he made he could do service as an extension of whatever job he was doing. Or iyaRpagai nayanAr was a merchant. He had a lot of money and wealth, so he could do whatever in way he was doing. iLaiyan-kudi Maran, he was a farmer, so he was using that thing, right? As a farmer, he had rice and food and vegetables, whatever, so he was feeding the devotees. Like that, everybody will be doing in their own unique way. That's what you will see as we go through the stories. But some of them sang songs, right? Sundarar or Sambandar or Thiru-nIlakaNtar, those sang padhigams. But many of the other devotees, they never sang any padhigam. They probably were not, some of them don't even know how to read and write. Because Kannapar, we will see later in the padhigam. Kannapar is one of the 63. And as you know, because Kannapar is so famous, his story will be there in all South Indian languages. So you probably already know the story of Kannappa, and you know that he was a hunter. So he never went to school to read ABC or Ana Avana, as we say in Tamil. So he never sang any songs. So that way. So to clarify your question, Madhuri, most devotees did not sing any song.
Okay. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else before we conclude?
No.
Okay. Then we will conclude here and we will continue more stories in the next session.
Okay.
Tiruchitrambalam.